Okay, so in today's video, I'm actually conflicted. I really don't know what to do in this case. Let me tell you my thought process. Either way, you'll get a video for today, whether it's about the midget or whether it's about that. I just recently picked up 12 cars from the port. I delivered 2 to Massachusetts, I delivered 1 to New York, and then a bunch to Connecticut. I have 5 vehicles on this ship that I need to get sold. But I also have to get them detailed, I have to get them serviced, running right, and everything. And I have to make videos for you guys so that they can get out there. And so it becomes difficult when I have to decide what I want to do. And so that's kind of my conflicting thoughts. It's like, what do I do? Because I also got parts for the Mirgino that is on hold for deposit, but it's like, just, there's a lot going on. So anyways, I think what this video will be is going to be about this midget here today. So I'm going to make a quick video about this midget and show you all the ins and outs about it. And then I'll probably make a video at some point about the blue Honda Acty that I have for sale, and then let you know all about that. But then I also have to run down to Mamaroneck, pick up the Tri-Wagon Classic that I have that's not running right now. From the port, it didn't come running for some reason, and so I have to figure it out. But I'm taking it back to the mechanic that worked on the Sarah to see if maybe he can tinker with it and get it running. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Hopefully it's something dumb like the carb, I starved it out of fuel or something, and we can figure out a way to get it to go back and run. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So for now, I guess let's lock in. Let's make not a quick video, but a decent video about this car, so you get an idea of what the heck a single-seater midget is all about. So let me drive it probably down to the parking lot there where there's more space, and then obviously I'm going to give you a driving aspect of this car, because I think it's fair enough to say that you really need to know how this thing drives, because it's different. It's different than all the other imports, because you're essentially driving in the middle of the vehicle. So for now, let me not ramble too much so I don't have to make a super long video that I then have to edit and post. So let's get this started up and we'll make a video about it. But first, let me give you a cold start. So has not been started since yesterday. I'm pretty sure we're really low on gas, so I'm gonna start this up and take it directly to the gas station and get some gas. Starts right up. Anyways, I'm gonna do that and then I'll come back to you. All right, so we're in this thing now. Like I said, I gotta get to the gas station. Hopefully I won't have to push it, meaning I don't run out of gas. But first impressions, I genuinely love how it drives. It's a pretty baller car. It only has 39,869 kilometers, but I'm gonna put this camera down because I'm a fishbowl and I don't want to get pulled over. A good representation of how much this thing fills up with, being such a tiny little car. I'll tell you exactly how much it fills up with. Maybe I'm being a little overcautious, but I usually like to pump premium in these anyway, just because you don't know when the last time is that they got a full tank of gas. So let's see how much it fills up with. Premium is currently $3.95. All right, so it filled up with $27.74, which is 7 gallons, which actually makes about sense for K cars in general. They usually have a smaller tank than most other vehicles. So let's fire her back up. It'll be happy now that it has a full tank of gas. Or not. Hopefully that needle goes up in just a second. I guess we'll drive it. I'll give you some driving aspect of it. This is you consider as city driving as possible. It is only a 4-speed. But let me tell you, for it being a 4-speed, this thing is a super zippy little car. It gets going, I should say, pretty easily without an issue. And pretty much stops on a dime right now. The brakes probably are a little crusted over just from sitting at the port and then sitting, you know, just waiting to get shipped. And now it's probably being driven for the first time in a long time, but I was at the port yesterday or 2 days ago and I got punked thinking that this was a 5-speed when it wasn't. Let me tell you though, it's really funny to see the reactions of everybody when I'm on the road. They're just like at awes as to what this is. And what this is pretty much the coolest car that Japan ever made. Now, there's a lot of cool cars, but this one is like probably one of the top 5 that I think are the coolest that Japan has ever created. So, you know, people are going to be like, oh, what about a GTR? Well, GTR is just another Me Too car. Not very many people are driving midgets around. One-seater midgets at that. So I never really do this, but I want to give you a size comparison. This is a Gladiator that's probably lifted on a 4-inch lift is what I think it is. But it gives you an idea as to where this car really sits. It could probably fit on the back of that bed with the bed down. I mean the tailgate down, but height and everything, it's nuts. So pretty sure these are 35s. So the height of this equates to the height of the bed. So this thing is tiny compared to a Jeep Gladiator. But let's park this thing and then I'll show you my favorite deli locally. The cool part about this car is that it pretty much fits anywhere. So if you're in the city, it goes anywhere. Anyways, my favorite deli here is Hometown Deli. It's Dave's and Charlie's Hometown Deli. So if you've never been here, make sure you come check it out. Give them some love because they are literally the best chicken cutlets in town. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Roast beef, Swiss, and some gravy. Holy crap, that sandwich was delicious. So part of the reason I came here is because I wanted to talk about the fact that what this is. Now, if somebody doesn't want to daily drive a vehicle like this, I think what this vehicle would be is a perfect statement piece for a business like a deli or a taco stand or pretty much anything. Imagine this logo having that front end on it. I think it would completely transform your business. So with that being said, people always ask me, oh, why would anybody want to buy this? And my rebuttal to that would be, I think the sky's the limit on what you can do with a vehicle like this. Sure, it's a one-seater. Sure, it's kind of like whatever. Sure, people are worried about getting parts, because that was the first question they asked. How easy is it to get parts for this? And the straight answer is, it's simple. It's just time-consuming. It takes some time for the parts to come in from Japan, but it can be done. And I think in the future, I want to work with that more, to streamline something that it's easier for people that buy a car from me to be able to get parts. But that's so far down the line. But either way, I tell people, don't get scared. If you have any questions, I'll point you into the direction as to where to go to buy a vehicle. I'm sorry, not a vehicle, parts for the vehicle that you bought from me. So that being said, don't get discouraged because of parts. Unless it's an old vehicle, most of the time you can find parts. But with that being said, this vehicle would work perfectly for just about anybody. Because what it really is a statement piece. Because as soon as I parked this car up here, I can't tell you the amount of people that drove by or asked questions or came in and were staring at it. Now, if you ask me, how do you get eyes drawn to your business? You just got to get eyes on your business. If somebody's looking and saying, what the heck is that? Let's stop. Let's look at it. I'm kind of hungry. Let's go into the deli and eat. Car sells itself at that point, in my opinion. So anyways, let's go get this on the highway so you can see what it's all about. It is a 4-speed. We'll go from there. All right, so we are right on the border of America and Mexico, about to go into an undisclosed location in Mexico, so you can see what the speed run's all about with this car. It's funny, when I talk, it's easing up the window. I'm not sure if it can be shown in video, but let me pick up a little bit more speed. Currently at 90 kilometers. Here we go. This is the exit that takes us to Mexico now. Oh, it's a busy day at the crossing today. But anyway, we're gonna show you what it's all about. I'm gonna try and pull over so you guys can get an idea of a startup from 0 to, I guess, 60 kilometers. And that way you get an idea. But we're currently cruising on the highway right now, 85 kilometers per hour, which I'll put on the screen what that is. But in just a second here, I'll pull over and I'll do a speed run from 0 to 60. All right, so here we go. Waiting for traffic to clear up a little, looking good. Okay, here we go. Speed run start. We're at 0 miles per hour. That's first gear. This is second. This is third. We're up to 60 kilometers per hour. This is fourth gear. That's it. That's all the gears we got here. So we're in fourth gear now. It runs nice and smooth. It's nothing crazy. This is a 4-speed, so it doesn't like to... We're going up a slight incline as well. it doesn't like to go super fast. And in a car like this, you really don't need to be going super fast. I can turn the air off, see if we gain a little bit more speed. It's not really a windy day out, but it kind of is. It's kind of in between. We're at 100 miles per hour right now. Sorry, miles per hour. Wow, 100 kilometers per hour. We're going to 105. Let's see if it'll make it to 110 on this downhill portion. There you go, 110. Let's see if we can hold 110. Actually, it's rising a little bit more. It's holding at 110 right now. So the reality is this car probably won't like to go over 110. Again, because it's a 4-speed, not a 5-speed. I feel like if we had the extra 5th gear, we really could make a difference. But I think cruising speed would be 100 kilometers per hour, which is like 62 miles per hour, which I don't think you need to go much faster in most places that you're going to be. If you're in like Texas or like Arizona where the speed limits are 80 miles per hour, you just hang out on the right lane and that's it. But that's foot to the ground. And you're cruising at right around 100 kilometers per hour, which isn't bad in my opinion. So, needless to say, I think it cruises just fine. We're passing a car there without an issue. They're probably going 55, and for most places that you'll probably have this car, you won't really need to go much faster. We're at 105 now. We're holding, and it's screaming. We're cruising, but screaming down the road. And probably won't be the best for fuel efficiency, but I think the thing to think about with this car is that it's so light, and there's not very much that you can do with it that's gonna, make it all that much faster. I've seen people that do swap the faster engine into this one, the 20 valve, I think it is, that they come on the high jets. They swap them, and they swap them into this one, and sometimes they do or are able to swap the 5-speed. I think has something to do with the rear end too, so I don't think you can just slap a 5-speed on here. But overall, my impressions of this car are, it's not like, oh my gosh, wow, as far as like speed or drivability, but it's wow because of everything else. It has this cup holder, which is really cool. I left my water in the trunk or in the bed. I should have brought it and put it there. And you also have this. This within itself is worth like $300 on Buy, if you can even find it, by the way. But overall, I'm happy with it. I'm fogging up the window again, so I got to turn on this. I think this could either be cool air, like coming from the outside, or I think there's a feature that you can put it so that it has heat. I'll have to look when we pull over to see if it has a heater core that you can turn it on. Anyways, I'll get back with you in just a second once I make the loop back to America. That's it. That's all we got. Flat ground, so we're cruising right now at 100 kilometers per hour. It is screaming again. Again, this car's not really built to go $120. Normally K cars go to $140, but I believe because this is what the vehicle that it is, they only govern it to go at the most $120 if you're able to get it to go that fast. But I don't think we can get it to go 120. Let's try it. Let's try it for the video purposes. See, that's 110, 115. Come on, give it the beans. 116. We're gonna catch a little downhill in just a second. Almost there. Come on, give it to us. Let it loose. Let it loose. Almost. 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 There it is. 120. Read it and weep, because that's it. You're seeing it with your own eyes. $120 on a midget. So if anybody tells you that a 4-speed midget can't do 120, they're wrong, because that speed run just did it. You saw it on camera. Would I suggest going 120 on your 4-speed midget? No, I would not. And they're just not built for that. They're built to just cruise around with that bed in the back and just point A to point B. They actually, there's a video out there of them racing this on a track in Japan. It's really, really cool. So if you haven't watched it, look it up on YouTube. And it'll be one of those things. If I could go to Japan with a bunch of friends like Nick and Tiki and go on a track with 4-speed midgets and just mob them around on the track, I'd be so happy. But anyway, I'm gonna go park up. I'm gonna make a video for you for the rest of it and kind of give you an idea of the whole thing. And this is a very comfortable car. I'm 6 feet tall, but I'll go all over this. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll go all over this in just a minute. But otherwise, by the way, it's very planted on the ground. Just the wheelbase that it has. The wheels on the front are a little further apart than the wheels in the rear. But I'll explain all this in a minute. All right, so let's talk about this car and what the heck it is and why it is what it is. So this was probably made for companies in Japan to be able to transport very light duty stuff, maybe a couple boxes, luggage or something. They have a variant of this, which I also have, which is canopy top. That's what they call it. So it has a whole enclosure in the back. But this here is one of the craziest cars that Japan made, in my opinion. It's at least on the top 5, but let's give you a quick walk around because that's what I was doing before, and then I stopped. But I guess you can call this a ute, pretty much, or a pickup truck. But you've seen the driving aspect of it. You can kind of get an idea of it. But let me show you some cool, quirky features that this midget has, and maybe some of the other midgets that you may have seen on the internet don't have. For starters, let's start with the front end. They all come with the spare tire in the front. So underneath this is where the spare tire is. On the front, these are your headlights. It almost reminds me of Squidward. And down here, these are considered the fog lights. So not all the midgets came with the fog lights. In fact, it was an added option, which was pretty cool if you had these fog lights. In my opinion, I think they're really cool. So I had another midget. It didn't have this hoop. So the hoop you can get, and then the fog lights were in addition to it. There's actually, on another midget that I have, they have a bottom lip that covers the bottom and it covers the tow hook. So if we keep going around the front, normally if I were to pull this cover off the front, it would normally have a 10-inch wheel. So what's cool about that is that it's super tiny, and so usually they were really zippy because of this. But these tires that it currently has in these rims, they're 145/80 12s. So they're 12s, and in my opinion, they look perfect for what they are. They're almost like a gunmetal color, and they're very clean, very awesome. Japan, for some reason, believes in the standards that the caps, they probably don't fit because they use the original lug nuts when people buy the aftermarket rims. And instead of just buying aftermarket lug nuts that allow you to fit these the caps back on, they don't, and they just throw away the caps. So what happens is we get cool rims like this without caps. Tires are in pretty good shape. You can see from here, there's no dry rot or anything. Let me see if I can find the month that they were produced in. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. They're 2017, so they're pretty old, but they're still in pretty good shape for being what they are. Unfortunately, when I was transporting it back, it was backwards on the trailer, and the wind caught this, and I lost the side cover. That's probably one of the saddest things that I've had lost while transporting a vehicle back home, which really sucks. But this is where the battery goes, and normally it has a bolt here, which I'm assuming the bolt was gone, so it was holding on to these clips, and it must have just completely went fwing and lost it, because it looks like nobody bolted it in the correct place here. So usually what happens is they unbolt them in Japan to move them around, and then they just kind of leave them freely, and most of the time you'd be okay. But when you're towing it backwards, the wind caught it and it just took it with it. Another key feature for this one is this hoop, or this headache rack. They don't all come with this headache rack, so this was a very cool addition that you could add to it, because what it allowed you to do is you could actually get even cooler lights up top, or you can get a reverse light or a work light or a bed light, whatever you want to call it, so you can use it in the back. Let's see, what else can I show you? what's cool is it doesn't have sides that drop, no tailgate or anything like that. It just has these plastic sides that go all the way around it, but behind that they have the bars, which is cool. Now, another thing that I haven't seen on Midgets, but I did notice it on this, is they have hooking points here, because you could probably strap your cargo or whatever it is that you fit on this, what looks to be probably like a 2.5 foot bed is what it is. It's kind of crazy. It's nuts to think that they have that. Like, for what, I have no clue. But it's interesting because they have these, but they don't have them here. But that's something that I hadn't seen in other Midgets before. They did run the wiring for the lights over here. Japan is famous for using these little tabs where you could just put your wires through there. I'm not quite sure what those wires go to. It looks like they might go into the rack and probably back out here somewhere. But there's also wires going from there down. So it could be for maybe another edition that they used to have that no longer is on here. One of the other things that I also lost while we were on the road was a bed mat. There was a bed mat that goes back here, and unfortunately it flew off. If you saw my port video, you could see it fly out of there. But super cool. They look like they went to City Field in Japan and added a really cool exhaust tip. Again, you don't see Midgets with these things most of the time. And then you can see that in the plastics here, it says Midget 2 and then Daihatsu. And they have the hoop or the rear chrome bumper in the back as well. So those three options are pretty big if you had it in on your cars. Again, it looks so good with the wheels. Here you can see, I believe this is where, yeah, that's where the coolant reservoir is. And if I'm not mistaken, also where your windshield, no, I think your windshield washer fluid might be, I don't remember, I'll have to look that up. But then over here you have your gas cap. So what's cool about this car is that it actually has two ways of entry. So in the 5-speed model has this door and that door, but you can jump into the car through here. And then if you open that door, if you really want to, you can just go out through there, making sure that that doesn't go somewhere you don't want it to go, but just simply walk on out. So it's essentially like a pass-through, which is really cool. I think the biggest flaw of a 5-speed Midget was because of where they placed the shifter. They thought they couldn't get a full window in here. But let's close the door, because I think that's the biggest flaw of this Midget, or the Midgets in general, was that they thought for some reason you had a ginormous hand that you needed to be able to shift over here, when in reality it's right here and you could still crank your window up and down. But it's kind of sad. It is what it is. I know people in Japan get rid of this door and get the door from the other Midgets that are automatic, that have the roll window. But it's interesting because I've seen other Midgets where the colors don't match up. But if I can point out any flaws, because I've been trying to look for flaws on this thing so that I can show it in my video, the biggest one that I see right off the bat was it probably got a little bit of rust and somebody touched it up with some black paint. It looks like up here, you know, somebody might have put something and it kind of rubbed it the wrong way. There's a scratch up here. Let's see where else. I mean, paint's kind of bubbling here. Nothing where I'm too worried about it. It looks like it's just, it might have been over, or it might have been repainted at one point, because it kind of looks like they just painted it kind of bad. There's another imperfection here on the right fender. Let's see. This is cool. I don't remember my Midget, but I think, oh no, that's not welded. That's like body glue. But overall, just came back from the detailers. It looks really clean. Obviously, they probably put this down at some point, so they might have used this, or they might have strapped something to it. So there's imperfections all over the tire cover. It's not the end of the world. Imperfections where it looks like it's just a little bit of like pitted rust, if that makes sense, on this portion of it. But it's still, it doesn't look bad. You can see it on the camera if you really look up close. If you're standing from back here, you can't really tell those imperfections. Looks like there was some sort of dimple here, or maybe that's a paint run. So it might have been resprayed. I don't remember what grade this one was, but I don't believe it was an R grade. So if it was resprayed, it maybe was never said that it was resprayed. Let's see, imperfections here. Looks like there's a little bit right here. Might have been that when they had these, which it makes no sense why it has this, because this window doesn't go down, but maybe they had a longer one before and it glued there. But overall, not bad shape at all. That's just a little bit of remnants from the detailers. The roof, in perspective, I'm 6 feet tall, and you can see where I fall and where this falls. It's like to where my jaw is. So that's probably like 4 feet, maybe a little more than that. Overall in good shape. Plastics, they're always all dinged up here, obviously, when throwing things in and out of it. I think this is just from compound, when they were compounding the car, but pretty good shape. It could be worse. These are normal gouges. That means the car was used, but whoever had the car definitely took care of it. The light back here could probably do to switching it out to maybe an LED work light. You could see there's imperfections on the bars here and here. The bed had the bed cover, I think, all its life, and I'm so disappointed I lost it, because this bed is immaculate. Other than that imperfection on the bed, this is probably one of the cleanest midgets that I've seen, and it's not to toot my own horn, but I guess there's one flaw here. These little things, you can kind of see them there. I guess being that it's one of the cleanest midgets that I've seen, let's show you the interior, because this is where I believe it's lacking some of the things that a midget should have and it doesn't have. Being that it's a 2-door with only a single window, the biggest flaw in this car. And I know that it might hinder the sale of this car, and people are like, why would you say this? But I just like to be honest with everybody. It's cold, that's why I have my hood on. But it doesn't have air conditioning. This was a model that did not come with air conditioning. And unfortunately, that's kind of the drawback of this car, because you can't put this window down, so you only have one window to put down. But it's really not the end of the world, to be 100% honest with you. I think it makes up with a lot of other different things. Like, it's got the radio, which has the bezel that's in good condition. It's not, you know, in bad condition like some of the other ones I've seen, where they like have to glue their own makeshift, homemade plate. It does have a cigarette outlet. It does have the fog light switch here. Obviously, this is where the air conditioning controls would be. It still has a fan that, if I'm not mistaken, pushes probably just ambient air from the outside. I have to double check under here. That's where you turn on for the heat on the midgets. They did add tweeters down there, which is pretty cool. So there's one tweeter there and one tweeter down there. You can't really see because my camera wasn't focusing. There it is. So that was done. That was pretty nice. It does have the ashtray, which is in really good, clean condition. I wouldn't want to lie to you. It definitely looks like it was used. If we go back here, it does have speakers that came with it. And it's got this little, like, box that, oh, it opens. It came with goodies inside. That's really interesting. I didn't know this. But, so it's got goodies inside of here. Wow, it has service records. That's really cool. So it has service records. It looks like it had Shonkin, if I'm not mistaken, before it came from Japan. Let's see what other goodies are in here. That's really cool, because my midgets didn't come with any of this before. So it's cool that that little stash pocket over here has all these things. Again, more service records in there. So that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. But yeah, and then please keep your registration either or there. And then it looks like this is for where you would have your tire iron in this case. And then it looks like they just have the speaker there. If I come out of here, you'll see that the other speaker was glued to here, and at some point it unstuck itself. If we move this front seat forward, it just moves forward. You'll see that there's the speaker wire. It's nice, clean condition. This is for using it to jack up with the jack, which is back there. Let's see. Let's open up the hood here, because it's a front hood, I guess you could say. So we got to place this guy forward, and it clears the steering wheel. So let me take this strap here. I'm trying to do this one-handed while holding the camera. Proves to be very difficult. And then there is a way to hook this. I forgot, but let me figure. Oh, there it is. You just put it to right there. Yeah. Maybe not. I have to figure out where this hook goes. Oh, there it is. It goes right there. So that's what holds up your trunk, or not your trunk, but your hood. So if we look under here, it looks like it's in pretty good condition. Very simple because it has no air conditioning. There is an access panel for the front to access the belts and whatnot. It looks to be in pretty great shape. Nothing that's crazy that points out anything that I would be worried about. No rust where it's like, oh man, this is worrisome or anything like that. Yeah, seems to be running in pretty tip-top shape, but that's pretty much it for the interior. Let's see, does it have a switch? Oh, it does have a switch for the heat. Let's see if I flip that, if it turns the heat on. If we go around to this side, if you didn't know, if you own a Midget, you flip that, that opens up the heater core to allow warm air to come through. So that's the warm air that you're getting from your radiator, cooling it down. Oh yeah, now it's warm air. Woo! You can cook yourself in this. Pretty great condition under here. Let's see, there's a little bit of surface. Oh, it doesn't even look like rust, it just looks like dirtiness. The bolts are a little rusty, but nothing crazy. There is some sound deadening. Another access to get to the engine. I believe with that you can access the spark plugs. Let's go to the other side, show you underneath the mat there, so you can really gain an idea. Here's the Vin Plate. But we go underneath this side, that's where they ran all that speaker wire. Looks like there's a little bit of surface rust there, and it's probably over something really dumb, to be honest with you. But yes, it looks like your windshield washer fluid probably... No, that's not for that either. I wonder what that wire goes to. It's going to the very back. Sometimes I wonder what they do with these cars and what wires they add. But it's cool that it has this carpet and it's not all mangled or beat up. Again, the car doesn't have very many kilometers. The kilometers on this car are 39,887. They will go up. I don't know how much, but they will go up as I drive it. Let's look at the very underneath side. It's the first time I'm looking at the underside with you. Looks to be in pretty good condition, actually. It looks to be like what Japan is famous for, is they paint everything black, because I don't think this is normally all that black. So it's definitely been painted. So maybe it had a lot of surface rust and they thought that the best way to sell it would be to paint it. But let's go underneath on this side. Where they tend to rot out would be right under here. But you can see, yeah, it's definitely been painted for sure. You can see the transmission, the world's smallest drive shaft. That is really funny. It's more like a yoke than a drive shaft, to be honest with you. But nothing dripping out of the engine. Overall, in really great, clean shape, if you ask me. Normally you would see a lot of rust here, and you would see it rotting out, but it's just surface rust there. This is on the underside over here. Again, I think it's been painted. Yeah, it's been painted because you can see that run there. Overall in great shape. Let's go on the driver's side. Or well, the driver's side is considered the middle in this car. But again, nothing too wild or crazy. This, I speculate, is from when they detailed it. They might have just put a little bit of chemical or something to make it look pretty, and it just kind of ran down. So overall, really cool car, really great shape. Again, for being a midget of this era, I don't know that you'll find a cleaner midget than this. Sure, it lacks AC, but I just don't know that you can find a midget with all the specs that would make it nice. Israel, the last person that bought my other midget, took this and put Harley fog lights and put RGB lights in the front. It looks absolutely amazing. I think if you were to get this car, you could either leave it fishbowl would do great, or if you wanted to just tint the side windows and the rear window, it would give it a completely different look and transform the whole car. But other than that, what can I tell you about the car? That's pretty much it. Unfortunately, obviously it's missing that. I will be listing this car probably on Facebook Marketplace after I'm done making this video, and I'll ask $7,500 or best offer, and see where it kind of goes from there. So if you're watching this and you're interested, please reach out. I need to get these cars sold before I go to Japan, which is probably like in the next week and a half to 2 weeks. I really have to sell everything because I want to go to Japan to find even more cooler cars. So if you're interested, I'm very motivated to sell. So just reach out. But overall, I'll try and get 100 photos of this car. I'll list it on Facebook Marketplace. I'll start to see if I can get it listed on Cars and Bids as well. If it doesn't generate a sale through Cars and Bids. Title is in the works. I don't quite have it yet, but it will come very soon. I have my title guy working on that as we speak. So yeah, I'll kind of leave it at that. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. My phone number is 203-940-1259. I'm based out of Connecticut. If you're interested in this, just shoot me a text or call, email, Facebook message, Instagram message, whatever you want to get a hold of me. Let's get this thing sold. If it stays local, great. If it goes somewhere else in America, great. This is really clean car. I do not want anybody to pass up on this. I'm not just saying this to sell it to you, but I'm being genuine. With the amount of low miles that it has, the fact that it's very low kilometers and just overall in great shape, no rust or rot in a crazy way that would worry me. You need this car like yesterday. So made it to Chickies. I'm not sure where this will end up in what video, but this is the other midget that I picked up at the port. It's gonna get cleaned up pretty soon. This in itself I have to make a whole video about, just like I did about the green midget, but this thing's pretty baller in my opinion. I actually haven't even checked the back to see what the back's all about. But yeah, I gotta get this headliner fixed. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to. This was actually an original yellow, like the midget was yellow. So it's cool that they painted it black. It's got those tail lights, got a bunch of different things. A Nardi steering wheel. I think I gotta look for a new one of these, but anyways, we're here to drop off the blue Honda Acty. So the blue Honda Acty staying here, and then we're here to pick this guy up because not running. Rob, everybody wants to know what you have. What two vehicles do you have?
Oh, I have a Jimny Wide and I have a deck van, and they're getting ready to go soon, so I'm hoping to get them out and they'll be available.
Yeah, they're actually going to get detailed, and then the Naked's in there all naked right now getting washed up and cleaned, so soon enough you'll see a video about that and this as well. This is like my, I don't know, my third or fourth classic I think it is, but they did a great job cleaning it. For now, let's get this thing unloaded. All right, so we're loaded up with the Acty in the back that doesn't want to run. Rob's in the blue Acty because Vlad, the mechanic, is interested in it, so we're gonna bring it for him to take a look at and ultimately decide whether or not he wants it. So yeah, excited about that. Hopefully he can get that thing running. I hope it's something simple because like I said, this thing was fully serviced in Japan before it came here, so the fact that it's not running is kind of nuts to me. So anyways, when we go to offload it, I'll catch you back up. One of Rob's questions was, he was driving it and he was like, why is this thing so fast? Surprisingly, these fuel injected Actys are actually really quickly or really zippy. Now I'm not sure if it's because it's that one or if just all these Actys in general, but that is very, very zippy. And it's because it's direct injected, I guess, as opposed to carbureted, which has a little bit of a delay. But yeah, if you want this blue Acty, if Vlad doesn't buy it, make sure you buy it. The people want to know, what did you think of the Acty?
Again?
What did you think of the Acty?
Oh, super fast. Oh my God.
It was crazy.
That thing was jetting.
It was jetting really fast. So we're gonna unload this thing here, and then eventually we'll load something back up here. So Rob's in it now. We're gonna get it offloaded here. Moving the Volvo. It will literally be a straight shot back. Hopefully they can get it running. Go ahead. All the way. One-handed push.